So most people have had thoughts that they didn't like, but intrusive thoughts related to OCD can feel really different. Hi, I'm Landry Etheridge with Etheridge Counseling Group in Charleston, South Carolina, and today we're joined by Etta Gant, PhD, to talk about OCD and what the difference is from between intrusive thoughts and something that you might just, the normal person might experience. So, Etta, I'm going to dive right in. I've got a few questions written down here. So, people often use the term intrusive thought kind of casually in everyday speak. What actually defines an intrusive thought relating to like OCD?
hmm So, an intrusive thought related to OCD means it's a thought that enters the mind that feels totally out of alignment with the person experiencing the thought. It almost feels like foreign or alien. It's truly like very jarring to the nervous system. It causes a visceral reaction to experience that thought. And
Mm.
what then happens next is it becomes an obsession. It was so disturbing or disgusting or confusing that it's now like taken on a life of its own and
Mm.
an obsession, whether it's not true, um, just thinking about the thought itself, that it's taking up at least like an hour of your day. That
Mm.
what makes an intrusive thought, like an OCD intrusive thought, and where the origin of the word really comes.
That makes a lot of sense. So there's really a lot of intensity to it and a duration to it. Well, how are OCD intrusive thoughts different from sort of like general negative dark thoughts that people experience during like stress, depression, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So it's how alignment or how in alignment or out of alignment it feels like to your situation, to your value, to your character. Someone can have an anxious thought or a dark thought, even like a suicidal thought, and it might feel, a little bit disturbing or wrong. Like you don't enjoy having it, but it doesn't have that effect that intrusive thought has. That feels like that's not even my thought. I don't know whose thought that is or where that came from.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even
Mm-hmm.
belongs to me. There's like more of a disconnect to the thought, but also like a heightened attachment to what that thought means about me. Does that make
Yeah. Well, it's not simply a sudden thought or an uncomfortable thought. It's something that feels truly sort of foreign to the way that you're feeling and thinking or your values.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So many people with OCD, and I know you work with OCD a lot, worry that their thoughts says something about who they are. Like maybe I'm a bad person because I thought X, Y, Z. Why do intrusive thoughts often feel so like threatening to like our identity or our beliefs about ourselves?
Yeah, that's usually just what they are. It is a junk thought that we had initially, like
Mm.
stupid, weird inference that our brain made. And because it feels so foreign to our values, to our character, to what we like appreciate about life or about ourselves, or it's like counter to like some sort of traumatic experience we've had, that it feels like so threatening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, how can understanding the difference between these two things, like an intrusive thought versus just negative thinking, how can that kind of help someone find the right kind of support or treatment that they might need?
Yeah, so the distinction of being able to name it an intrusive thought helps a lot of people because a lot of people with OCD get misdiagnosed at first because they don't
Mm.
understand that um, that's what it is. They just think, wow, there's something like deeply wrong with me. I have
Mm.
like life. These thoughts have taken on a life of its own, and I keep
Mm.
myself. So let's say it's like thoughts around like self harm or something. If you are to go to a mental health professional, it's helpful to name what those thoughts are to them, but to be able to explain like the foreign, like jarring nature that comes with the thoughts and how
Mhm.
out of alignment it feels with you. Like, what? No, I love life. I don't want to hurt myself. That sounds terrible. That sounds so scary. It can
Mhm.
help a professional help you. Like, okay, we're not treating so much depression here, we're treating more OCD, and just help them
Yeah.
you and help you understand it better yourself.
Well, that's such a helpful distinction. And I think, there's sort of a double-edged sword with there's maybe more awareness of things like intrusive thoughts, but then with the increased awareness, maybe not always the education of like what that word actually means. So that's a helpful, I think, distinction. So anybody who's listening and thinking that maybe I have some intrusive thoughts, or maybe I'm just having some negative thoughts and I want to look into that too. I think giving this article a read, you can find that at etheridgecounseling.com. Or if you're interested in scheduling counseling with a therapist and you live in South Carolina, you can also schedule a free consultation through the website as well. Etta, thank you so much for your time and for talking to us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.